Hi guys, I welcome you all to this sixth video of module 3. And over here, this is just an attempt to make you guys more comfortable of what are the things that's really going on by creating multiple rocket objects and do something with respect to that. So let's get into it. Now it's time to do something really very cool with this class that we have already created. Because it's having this behavior of its own, let's try to do something with that. Okay, so for that what I'll do is I'll create one text cell, give a heading, a mini heading over here, which is going to say that build more rocket objects. Okay, and let's see what all things we can do with that. Remember, one of our rocket is already up in sky 2 units above the ground. And now what I'll do is I'll just create two more rockets and I'll give some name to them. So create two more rocket objects. Okay, and I'll give the first rocket name as Orchid, for example. Again, this is the instance of that same class rocket through which we have built our Orion. Okay, Orion is also built from that same class. Just like that, the third rocket I'll be building, let me just call it Rohan. I can give whatever name I like because I am the creator, you know. So I'm again going to create this instance from that same class. And now what I'm going to do after this, let me just go ahead and print first of all that what exactly is this Orion, Orchid and Rohan. So I'm just going to print what is Orion, print what is, okay, it's going to be a tedious process. Let's say if I'm having 5 to 6 type of rockets like this. And if I want to print them one after the other, what is the best way? Think about it. You have already learned this in your previous module. Yes, we are going to use for loop over here. Okay, so I'm going to print what exactly is this Orion, Orchid and Rohan. The reason I've written it in this format is because I'm going to just copy it shamelessly and I'm going to say that for object, okay, I'm going to just call it as obj. So for object in this sequence that I'm passing inside this tuple, I want all of this object one by one and I want to print what they are. Okay, so that's why I'm using this for loop. So what's going to happen? It's going to first of all take this object as Orion, then as Orchid, then as Rohan, and then just print it one by one what they are. So let's just see, and this is the output that we get. This is something really very interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. All of them are objects, and these objects are created from this class called rocket. All of them are instances of the same class rocket. They are created from that same blueprint. But now an interesting thing to observe over here is this numbers. These numbers, as I've mentioned, are actually denoting the memory location. Now, because all of threes, or I should say all of these three are different from each other, it basically indicates that they are stored at different memory locations. So if I'm doing any change in my first rocket, that is Orion, it's not going to affect any of the other rockets because they are stored in the different memory locations. So if there is any confusion about this, let me demonstrate it and show it to you. So let me just do one thing. I'll just print the current locations for Orion because I'm having that already copied. I'm just going to paste it. So how I'm going to do it? Again, I can use this kind of for loop. I'll say that for obj in this, I want to print what? I want to print that the name could be Orion, Orchid and Rohan, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some magic over here. Okay, you are going to understand that, but let me just call it as for the name is at this location. Which location? Object.x and object.y. Now what I'm going to do for this name, I'm going to create this kind of a tuple within a tuple, and I'm going to call this as, let's say, string Orion, then Orchid and then Rohan. And what I'm going to do to this, I'm going to zip them up. Okay, I'm going to zip them up, and now I can get my object as the first items over here, and the respective names I can get its access by calling the name. Okay, And now if I just go ahead and run it, you will understand what exactly I have done. You can see that the Orion is at 0,2 because remember I have told you Orion is already at that 0,2 position. But the other two are currently at 0, 0 because when we have created those objects, you remember its properties, its attributes are already x and y at 0 because that's what we have defined over here. So that's something that we are seeing over here. Because Orion was moved up by 2 units, it's not affecting Orchid or Rohan. It's 0, 0. And just because if you think that Orion was already created before creating Orchid and Rohan, let me just do one more thing over here. Make, let's say, Orchid move up by 1 unit. Let's see if it's going to make any changes to Orion and Rohan's Y position. Okay. So for this, how will I do it? Take a pause over here and try to think about it and come back and see if you got it correct or not. So because I want Orchid to move up, I'll say that Orchid move up, dot move up, right? And what's going to happen? It's going to look into this particular object that we have created. And then because we are calling this specific thing, which is going to indicate that you are trying to look forward to some of the method that is created for this object. And because yes, we are having this move up that is created over here, it's going to allow it to move its y coordinate to 1 unit up. So if I just go ahead and run this, and again I'll simply shamelessly copy this part and paste it over here again, and now see it. Print the new locations, right? Print the new locations. That's it. I'll just remove everything else. You can see that Orchid is the only one thing that is moved up by 1 unit. It has not affected Orion or Rohan. That's the beauty of this object-oriented programming. We are able to reuse this code that we have created for the class. Where is the class? Let me scroll up. This class that we have created, we are able to use this one code again and again. And it's created in such a way that by creating multiple objects out of it, we are able to change its individual properties. This kind of power we are able to get with the help of object-oriented programming, guys. Alright guys, so that's the end of the video over here, and I hope that you had a complete fun in creating this kind of multiple rockets and then test it on this class. And in this process, I also hope that you are now more comfortable with all the things that you have built so far. Now in the next video, we are going to go ahead and refine this kind of methods that we are already having and see what all things we can do on top of that. So I'll see you in that next video.